is Dr. Shona Urquhart and I'm the Ogden Science Outreach Officer here at the University of Hull. Well, astrophysics it involves obviously a lot of study of pretty much everything in the universe, so we can go from all sorts of scales. We can take it from the solar systems or planets, the sun, we can go out to galaxies, so like the Milky Way, we can go into bigger structures, so clusters of galaxies. So after my degree, which I did in Edinburgh, I decided that I really wanted to do a PhD and I really wanted to go abroad to do it, but I wanted to go somewhere that was English speaking. And my supervisor at the time in Edinburgh was friends with the supervisor that I ended up with in Victoria. So I moved out there. I was there for about 8 years. I stayed a bit longer than the duration of my PhD just because I loved the town so much. I had the best time. I got the most amazing opportunities. I met the most amazing people. It was hard at times being so far from home, of course, but I would highly recommend anyone going to, well, Canada certainly, but abroad in general, to do their PhDs. From a personal point of view, when I was at high school, I was at just a pretty normal state school and never felt a huge amount of pressure not to study physics, but I was definitely in the minority. I think there were 2 girls in my whole, so I was in Scotland, so my Highers, which is just like your A-levels, class was only 2 girls. But I found it more of an issue at university actually, that guys sort of, it was the fellow students tended to speak to you like you didn't really know what you were doing or didn't really know what you were talking about. My position has changed through the years. I still sometimes feel that I don't get as much respect as male colleagues probably do. When I was doing my undergrad master's degree, I certainly found that the bulk of my lecturers were older, grey-haired men. The stereotype is true. There was a few women, and to be honest, astronomy is a bit better than pure physics, and there are definitely more women in astronomy than there are in pure physics. But yeah, I did find it, and then during my PhD as well, there was a great deal of sexism, and sort of the way you were treated was a bit different, and then yeah, it seems to be across the sort of spectrum. And I know that even when I was doing my PhD, senior female colleagues of mine found exactly the same thing. And I still see it every so often. But it just wasn't the generally done thing. Like, women just didn't really go and study physics, or worse is engineering. They've got even, and maths, they've got even more problems. It starts young, in my opinion. We need to start this at, well, high school at minimum, but I think primary school. And it starts from all sort of different areas. I think it comes partly from parents, especially with the slightly older generation, so it's maybe getting a bit better now. You have programmes like, I mean, I know The Big Bang Theory is a funny sitcom, but I don't think it really helps. You know, you see this like sort of really nerdy image, they're all guys. It's not true, it's just not true. I think we need to start tackling them young, targeting parents, make sure they kind of know, and teachers as well. They need to sort of project this idea that, well, so what if you're a girl, you can still do it. I mean, something goes wrong because we know that girls excel compared to boys, and then suddenly, sort of round about A-level, something happens and we lose them, and they don't seem to come back much after that. So I think we really need better role models, female role models. Most of our role models in science are male. I do think that's changing a bit now as well with generations. So things like Nobel Prize, for example. People are always saying, oh, it's always sort of elderly men. Well, the reason for that is because if you discover something cool, you don't get your Nobel Prize for it until pretty much the end of your career. So we're still sort of like looking at people that were doing cool stuff in like the 60s, they're getting them now. So hopefully I think that will change with time, but that's going to take a bit of time. I think the one thing I would really tell myself is that yes, you get all these amazing opportunities, you get to travel, you get to live all over the world, you get to go to different telescopes and all these type of things. Uprooting yourself every 2 years gets a little bit tiresome, and it makes it very hard to make lots of connections and lots of routes. So I think that you need to bear in mind it's definitely a bit of a juggling act between that. It does have its obvious plus points. I love travelling and I want the opportunity to move and experience different cultures and things. I think my sort of official biggest highlight, and certainly academically, was the day I did mine. So we call them defences in Canada. It's basically your viva when you get your PhD. That was like the culmination of a massive amount of work, and it was awesome. But my actual biggest highlight was getting to go observing, the first time I got to go observing in Hawaii. That was one of the big reasons I got into astrophysics. I've always been a surfer and into the ocean and mountains, and when I was just there, like up the mountain at Mauna Kea, I think that's the pinnacle. That's as good as it's going to get. When I was in Canada, I got the opportunity to take up loads of stuff, so I got really into climbing where I lived. So I lived in the west coast on Vancouver Island. It's just climbing, snowboarding, all these types of things. It's broadened my view of the world in the sense that I've really got to travel an awful lot of it that I would not have got the opportunity to travel otherwise. So Hawaii, Australia, Canary Islands, Britain, obviously Canada, all these places. But in a sort of more deeping, meaningful sense. Studying the universe really makes you appreciate your place in it. We're not big, we're very, very small. When you're studying it, you kind of get a very, very real sense of that. It's amazingly satisfying on lots of different levels. So if I have a child come up to me, or a young woman, a young man, come up to me afterwards and say, I really want to study physics because of what you just did or something, that is like the best feeling in the world. Or if I'm even writing a bit of code for a bit of research and I've been banging my head against it for a week and then I get it to work, that is immensely satisfying. I mean, it might just be this tiny thing, but it's really satisfying. What I get to study and look at is absolutely fascinating. You see all these headlines in the news and I know the science behind it most of the time. And it's really lovely to be able to understand it, to really, as you said before, like to really broaden your horizons. And I think lastly, it's not the most sort of highbrow word, but it's fun. Like, I get to do a lot of fun stuff. I've done a lot of fun stuff, so from observing to going into schools with a planetarium and talking to children, to going to big conferences and talking with professionals, to talking with people like yourself who are really keen. Ultimately it's fun. There are far worse jobs.